How's it, guys? It's Linton here. I figured today we'd dive a little bit deeper into the analysis of the Nasdaq. So let's just have a look at it and see what's going on and where is it headed potentially. So the first thing I want to do is I want to chat about um, this big drop that happened here, which was in 2020, and that was obviously the big COVID scare, and it changed the trend on the Nasdaq to down for that period of time. And after this trend line breakout and the formation of a higher high and a higher low, we saw the trend to the upside continue. Now, the Nasdaq has been trending for a very, very long time, 15, 20 years. So generally speaking, I prefer to buy it and not to sell it. So I think it's very important to understand that when you're looking at a trending based instrument, what you want to do is try and trade in the direction of the overall trend, which on the NASDAQ is most definitely up. So what we try and do when we identify trends is make sure that we know a trend is continuing. In other words, what you want to do is see the trend on a big time frame like this. As you can see, I'm looking at the daily time frame over here. And then you want to drop down to a smaller time frame like the 4 hour and possibly the 1 hour, and you want to enter trades in the direction of that underlying trend. So identifying the trend means that we're looking at this initial swing high and swing low, and then the reversal of that trend happened over here, and that was a buying opportunity. So what we want to do is stay in a position while that buying opportunity stays in place. Now, I haven't marked every single one, but we had a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. But I've marked the significant ones. So we've got a higher high over here and another higher low. It was higher than the previous lows. Then we had a lower high. And I obviously sat up and took note because I was in a long position over here. And when this lower high formed, what you need to do is you need to keep an eye on the next low formation. If you get a higher low, it's possible that the trend will continue as it did. We got a slightly higher high over there, and then a continuation with higher high and higher low again. If this point over here was lower than that point, in other words, we had a lower high and a lower low, this could have signaled the change in a trend. This could have signaled the change in a trend. But fortunately, for the trade that I was in at that point in time, it didn't. We then saw the formation of higher highs and higher lows again. This over here was a slight pullback, although I was looking at the more significant levels because I'd been in the trade for a while. We continued to get higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and then we got a lower high. And when price pulled back from there, I was keeping an eye on whether or not this low level was breached, which it was. So we got a lower low, which meant that we had a lower high and a lower low, and this could have signaled the change in trend. You would also have noticed if you'd drawn a line across all of these lows, a trend line, that at this point that trend line was broken. And this also confirmed the change of the trend to a downtrend. We then saw the formation of another lower low and a lower high and a lower low and a lower high and a lower low. And what we've seen now is a higher high. So we saw a high form that is higher than this previous one. So we've got to sit up and take note. Is this a reversal? And that is possible. But once again, we're in this situation over here. The exact same scenario is playing out again. So what's important here is to see whether or not we get the formation of a higher low or whether this level breaks. If we get another lower low, my targets to the downside are around about the 12,000 mark, actually 11,800 to be accurate. That would give us a 1, 2, 3 wave structure to the downside. Let me just mark that out for you. As many of you know, I'm a wave trader. And I would see this as a 1, 2, 3 wave move down to around about there before we see the big move back to the upside. which obviously means that I am expecting that big move back to the upside. But we have to keep an eye on the price and what it's doing currently. This is very, very important. So we've had the higher high. The question is, are we going to get a higher low or not? And I'm waiting for this to pan out in order to see whether or not I'm identifying this as a trend change. If we do see the formation of a lower low, let's put a fib on this. And the reason I want to do that is see that the levels of this retracement, see what the levels of this retracement are. So we've got a Fibonacci on here. And as you can see, the 50% retracement level was breached on the close of yesterday, which would indicate that the 61.8, in other words, 13,828, is very much on the cards. I would expect price to maybe trade back up to the 50% retracement, find resistance there, and down to the 61. What happens at this level will be very important. And the reason for that is because the 61.8 retracement level is the most prominent retracement level in the market. So what we could very well see is a small push up, a hit there, and a continuation up. If that is the case and we get the formation of a high that's higher than this one, then we are definitely seeing the overall underlying trend continue to the upside. Breaking this high would then very much be on the cards. If, however, what we see is a further move to the downside, even though there might be a smaller push back up and a push down, maybe a little bit of price movement like this, and what we see as a break to the downside of this lower low, and we get another lower low over here before it turns, it's very possible that we're going to see a bigger move to the downside. I think this would be very, very interesting, and we have to see what the current formations are going to do in order to see whether we're going to get, let me do this, in order to see whether what we're getting is this as being the three-wave structure and it's completed, and we're now seeing the formation of the new trend to the upside that will continue. Or alternatively, are we seeing this as being a three-wave move down to about the 11,800 mark, and then a breakout to the upside? So those are the two options that are on the table, and it all depends on what happens here. So I hope you found that useful and educational. And if you did, please like and subscribe and share with your fellow traders.